Did you know that if Russia attacked the UK, what will happen?
Stick around to find out some possible outcomes.
Imagine this situation. One day, we hear the news that Russia has attacked the UK. Now, this is a very, very unlikely thing. But if it did happen, the whole world would be in shock. First things first, the UK has got friends. A lot of them. They're part of a club called NATO. If one country in NATO gets hit, the others come to help. That means countries from all over North America and Europe would step in. The UK also has something called the nuclear deterrent. It means they have very powerful weapons that they would never want to use, unless they have no other choice. The thing is, Russia knows about these. So it's like two people standing with a big stick. They don't hit each other because they know it's going to hurt them both a lot. So, what we lost if Russia and UK enter into a war? There are several potential consequences that could arise from such an event. Before going into deep on this, the question is, are there any historical examples of war between Russia and the UK? Historical wars between Russia and the UK have been limited, particularly in terms of direct military confrontation. However, there are notable periods of tension and indirect. The Crimean War, 1853 to 1856. This is perhaps the most direct military conflict, where the UK, alongside France, the Ottoman Empire, and Sardinia, fought against the Russian Empire. The war was part of a long-running contest between the powers for influence over territories of the declining Ottoman Empire. It is famous for battles such as the Siege of Sevastopol and the Charge of the Light Brigade. The Great Game, 19th century. This was not a physical conflict, but a political and diplomatic confrontation which lasted throughout the 19th century and the early 20th century, involving Britain and Russia. The game was characterized by each empire's attempts to secure their own positions in Central Asia, which could be considered a form of non-military conflict, involving espionage, diplomacy, and proxy wars. And it is also have 3 more wars comment if you know any of them. So, what we lost if Russia and UK enter into a war? Military engagement. The most immediate consequence would be military action. Both nations have powerful militaries, and a conflict would likely result in a significant loss of life and resources. International intervention. Given the UK's membership in NATO, an attack on the UK could trigger a broader international military response due to the Collective Defense Agreement under NATO's Article 5. This could escalate the situation into a wider conflict involving multiple countries. Economic impact. Sanctions might be imposed, which would impact not only the UK and Russia, but potentially the global economy. Global markets could react negatively, causing economic instability. Cyber warfare. There could be an increase in cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, such as energy grids, banking systems, and communication networks, causing disruptions and economic damage. Humanitarian crisis. Civilian casualties and displacement could lead to a humanitarian crisis with a need for shelter, medical care, and other forms of humanitarian aid. Nuclear risks. Both countries possess nuclear weapons. Although the use of these is unlikely, the risk increases tension and the stakes of any military conflict. Political relations. Diplomatic relationships between Russia, the UK, and their allies could deteriorate further, affecting long-term international relations and cooperation. Travel and movement. Restrictions on travel between the involved countries could occur, affecting citizens and possibly leading to evacuations. Resource shortages. Supply chains may be disrupted, leading to shortages in commodities like natural gas and oil, which could drive up prices and lead to shortages. Impact on citizens. The lives of everyday citizens could be affected through increased security measures, potential threats to safety, and the overall anxiety and uncertainty brought about by the conflict. So, if Russia did make a move, we'd probably see lots of talking between world leaders, trying to calm things down. Countries would put on a show of strength, sending ships and planes to be nearby. It's like when you stand tall in the playground to show you're not scared. But what about the people like you and me? We'd see prices going up because things like oil and gas come from that part of the world. There'd be a lot of worry, and probably people protesting, saying, "We don't want to fight." Now, a lot of this is also about computers and the internet these days. There could be cyber attacks, where hackers try to mess with things like banks, power supplies, and the internet. It'd be a bit like all your games and your phone not working properly, but for really important stuff. It's also important to remember that war isn't a video game. Real people can get hurt. That's why it's a last resort, and countries work really hard to avoid it. So, while it's a scary thought, it's just what if for now. Countries talk and work hard to keep the peace. Here's hoping we never have to find out what would really happen. What do you think about all this? Let's talk in the comments. And remember to hit like, share, and subscribe for more what-if stories every week. Catch you next time!